Hello, everyone. Welcome to the January 20th of the Service Binding Operator Weekly Developer Call. Just taking a look at some of the agenda right now. We don't have any announcements at this point. We do have a standing topic to do issue triage and sizing refinement. But before that, just wanted to ask, Andy, could you give us a quick update regarding where you are with your work on the workload resource mapping?
Sure. Right now, I have a PR open, and have been trying to get feedback. And so far, I have been getting feedback. Thanks to those who have been assisting me on that. Currently, implementation is largely there. Right now, I've been working my way through acceptance tests and making sure that they all pass. Because it's the integration of features all together. That's been giving me the most trouble. As it stands, I'm hoping not to spend a whole lot much more time on this. And by that I mean I hope it shouldn't take too much longer to finish up acceptance tests and get things going. If, however, it does turn out that from review that I need to do a lot more work on the implementation side of things, I might want to push this back, and we'll see. We'll cross that bridge if we have to, though.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, I think like we discussed some other place, so there are few clarification regarding the spec itself with the workload resource mapping that also need to be addressed. Hopefully none of them are like blockers, but their clarity is really important in the spec itself.
Clarifications needed from the spec, you mean?
Yeah. Or maybe better rephrasing the text, or adding
Yeah.
more normative text around some of those details.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Okay, before we move on to the standing topic, Steven or Ionis, any updates, questions from you guys?
So there is one, and I don't know why it's not showing up into the document. So maybe, yeah, that's strange. So yeah, last week there was a product announcement from VMware, where they announced the new version of Tanzu application platform. And we saw that they are enabling service binding into that product, so that's great. They have been working on their own implementation as well, and this is the one they've been using. So I'm pasting it into the chat window. So that's one thing which is pretty nice, because thanks to this, there are an opportunity to have a better reach when we are engaging with the different partners and other service providers, so to make them becoming compliant with the specification. So that's great. We should definitely review the experiences that is provided within application within Tanzu, just for awareness on how service binding is getting leverage, and also maybe that will give us ideas on what to improve as well, on both the specification and our integration. So that could be an interesting perspective as well. Last week we had a really good discussion with Ioannis and Max on Quarkus. We said that we will follow up this week. Unfortunately, Predrag has been kept out of office for few days, so we have not discussed it in more details. But there is a but. I think, Ioannis, your main ask was about having some kind of abstraction on the different services, so that the developer would not be required to know the binding specifics of each of the different services.
Yeah, exactly. Something like a selector or something like that.
So that is something that we have been discussing a little bit, and we believe it will be a focus area for the next 2 quarters. We don't know exactly how we can achieve that. We understand the need, the requirement. The way to achieve that, there's different paths to do it. Unfortunately, we have not been able to continue the discussion with Predrag, so that's why I'm a little bit short on that. But definitely we want your inputs as well. So one of the idea was to have some sort of catalog of services which will define or predefine certain set of bindings for a certain set of category of services, and add that onto the service binding specification. So that's one approach. The counterpart of this approach is that it can make the spec a little bit more complex to adopt. So another way to look at it would be in the implementation itself, to be able to get those kind of information, and to, on our side, being able to do the mapping between, okay, so this is a PostgreSQL database. We know that those bindings will be there. We handle the mapping between the metadata that we have on our side and the bindings that are expected by the service. So it's 2 different ways. There is one which is probably going to provide a stronger value, especially if it's in the community and adopt in the spec. I think it's the best path moving forward. But we will see how we can have something still delivered on our side, so that this effort on the spec and on adopting the spec is not blocking us in the way we want to provide the experiences.
Okay.
So that's the short answer. Still need to discuss more details about it.
Okay, yes, of course. From my side, what I wanted to mention is that the things that were demonstrated in the second part of my demonstration, and I'm referring to the Automagic service binding, has finally made it in upstream Quarkus. So
nice.
I'm pretty sure that soon we will be able to gather feedback from users.
That's wonderful.
Will possibly help us, to
so
better narrow the problem.
That's great. So that's really great. I think we should mention it in the announcement from today.
Do you have a link or details about that, Ionis, just for us to be able to add to the announcement details? You can share with me in the in the chat. I can add it.
What sort of link? So for now, the only thing that I have is the link to the pull request that got
Perfect.
merged.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So-
that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me find it and paste it to the chat.
Sure. Thank you. Great.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other topics for today before we move
Just
on?
a
Yep.
comment regarding that VMware announcement part. Something interesting in that announcement, they're really calling out what is supported and what is not supported also. Especially those two things, the workload resource mapping, which is a recent addition to the spec, which we are also working on that. That is something they're not supporting, and hopefully they will support in future. And the other thing is annotations, that is secret generation strategies, which is basically the annotations and volume descriptors. I mean, that was our way of doing things from the beginning. So that part, I think even I don't think they're going to support in future also. Yeah. So it's interesting that they're calling out it specifically.
Thank you for raising that, Raju. Oh, thank you. I'll just leave that off. Sounds good. Next topic that we had was the standing issues. Is related to issues refinement. So taking a look at this, it looks like there's 2 bugs. I don't think this has changed since last week. I guess my question I have right now is, who has the next steps to investigate this? So is it Fenny that, or no, this is you just commented on this, so thank you for commenting. Would someone like to take on the triaging responsibility to further investigate this and confirm that this is actually a defect? Okay. If not, then we'll take that offline and then we'll find someone to do that. Okay. All right. So the next one here is, I don't think we do have at this point in time. Does anybody know?
We don't support this service Keycloak or SSO, but I know that is one of our Red Hat's core service that we are using internally, and I think maybe used by outside people also.
I think the ask here is to build a sample, so I definitely think it is something we should prioritize. It makes sense to.
Okay. Okay, we'll just have to add that to our list of things to do. So, okay, add it to our backlog. Okay.
So what's the deal with Keycloak? Is that something that is popular? What's the
See, when you log into Red Hat single sign-on, right, that is basically Keycloak in Red Hat.
so
that is used by Red Hat.
why specifically with Java? I mean, it looks like he's using for a specific use case. I would just ask him, what is it you're looking for, right? So because it's just posting a question so that we think about the specific use case. I would just ask him, hey, what's the use case? What would you like to see?
So as in like needing more information about specifically?
No. I mean, this is a question that then Esteban is saying, yeah, we should look into it. But what specifically is the Java community? Why is the Java community interested in this? I mean, if we can provide some background on why would this be useful, right? So I guess that's the main idea.
Would you mind?
You can answer to that no, right? But that I don't think that's what he wants. What he wants is for us to think about it, right?
Okay. Yeah, David, would you mind just updating this issue with the questions so we can ask Shubik to
Yeah, no problem.
follow up? Yeah,
No
that'd be
problem.
great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Next one. Oh, I believe this is an ongoing. Oh, this is a new question for Predrag. No, that's some. We need to follow up with Predrag then. Let's.
There was some related issue was closed also.
Yeah, I think there's some previous ones, but if we take this on its own, it would be good to find an owner to investigate this. So again, another opportunity here is if anybody would like to take ownership of this to investigate this defect, let us know. Otherwise, we will be assigning somebody offline.
I can, because MongoDB I was exploring, so I would like to
Take a look.
take a look at, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if you can take a look, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, can you assign to me, like,
Do we
is that
have
okay?
do we have a way to label that it's been triaged?
This is not rehashed, but there is no label right now. We don't use.
No, I don't think so.
Should we have a
Triage.
way to say, hey, this is an issue that has been looked at by a community member, or something that needs to be looked at, right? So I think that having a label to differentiate that is going to be useful. And agreeing, obviously, on the label, because if we put different labels, we don't have a common thing to track. So having that consistency on triaging, and I think we'll work it offline, like Jasper said, but
Yeah.
it needs to be a consistent process, right? What's the triage process?
Yeah.
If a new member comes and wants to do this for us, what do we tell them to do, right?
This need triage.
Something like that. But let's define a document, though.
Yeah.
So it's clear in the project.
Yep. Okay. Thanks. Something like that, but yeah, let's just leave it for now.
Something like that, right?
Yeah. So I will assign it to you, Baiju. It's okay. Thank you. All right. Cannot project bindings to jobs.
Yeah, that's some issue that need some changes in architecture itself.
Okay, so this is a little bit. Is it more of a feature request than a bug?
This is
Yeah, it's a feature
closer
request.
to a feature request, yes.
Okay, so this shouldn't be kind bug then. Oops.
So how do you handle feature requests then?
Feature
Is that
request,
something,
we need
Esteban,
to.
that we take into account as part of the
Kind enhancement.
planning?
Yeah, we'll have to take that into consideration in our discussions, David, I think.
Yeah, but at least just we have the basic infra ready to do this kind of task. So there is something in place, but it's not quite in a usable. I mean, not ready to. Without making some lot of changes, I don't think we can make it work. So the key problem with this job is it's an immutable resource. So that means we cannot bind just like how we are binding it like a mutable resource like deployment or anything of that sort. So the only chance we are getting to put anything into this resource is when the resource is getting created. So that means we need to use some admission webhook. That's a challenge in this problem. Yeah, so but when it comes to the spec doesn't prescribe anything about how to project or inject. It says that should be there in that application. That's it. Doesn't say whether you should use webhook or you should use reconciler, I mean controller or anything of that sort. So technically we can do it with the spec approach. I know that even VMware has done this in their implementation. Their implementation support binding to jobs, for example. And the way how they're doing is they're using the same thing. What is it called? This webhook, that admission webhook to project. So we could also go in the same direction. Probably that's a option. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see a label, kind enhancement. Is that something you guys already do? Then as
Yes.
part of
Yeah. It's
All right.
there. So okay, sounds good.
and you have a couple of those.
Yeah, I also have some disagreement regarding whether we should support it or not. We need to discuss anyway. Let's
Yeah.
have a
we need-
discussion, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to the priority, okay, that I'll add later.
Sounds good. And it looks like the rest of these are just historical work.
Yeah.
So I think we're good. Any other questions or topics for today?
And one thing we should discuss, at least with regards to jobs, and job support, we were considering making that optional, within the spec, and that a conforming implementation does not have to implement it.
What do you mean by making it optional? Spec doesn't say anything about that right now, right? So why
Yes,
do we need
yes. But going forward in the future, before we go GA, I think there was a little discussion around.
Oh, okay.
Is this the job being the on the application side?
Yeah,
So
job in the
Yeah.
application. Yeah.
user is
Yes,
building
yes,
a
correct.
job, and
Correct.
then it just wants to bind to some service while the job runs.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So my take on that one is that I don't know. I don't think anyone use a job directly. It is always like a resource there. This is my understanding. There is something
No.
called cron job.
An
Okay.
application could
So-
be a job. An application could be a job.
No,
So-
application could be a job, but not
Yeah.
directly constructed. What I mean is, normally people use cron job, and the cron job indirectly creates the jobs.
Yeah, right.
So that means if
Another
you can,
resource that creates a job, correct? Yeah.
yeah. So that means as long as you can bind anything to cron job, which is possible with what we are working on that workload resource mapping. So that means technically we'll be able to bind that into cron job, right? So if that is there, we
Because
don't need
cron
any
job is
special
persistent.
support for a job. Yeah.
Because cron job is persistent.
Yeah.
Is that what you're
It
saying?
is persistent. Yeah,
Right.
it is persistent and mutable. So
Right.
I think that should be good enough to handle
Oh,
maybe
that's a
more
good
than 90% of scenarios. So we don't really need to support job, is what I'm thinking.
that's actually a good idea. Because you never package a job, you package a cron job.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the cron job, what it produces is just giving a syntax with to schedule, just that
Mhm.
unique style of cron
Mhm.
job, that syntax, same syntax.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. All right, any other topics for today? Okay, thank you. Just as a reminder, Kartiki, you're the next moderator for next week's meeting. Thank you all for joining. Have yourselves a good rest of your day.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.